2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
Most commonly searched questions on AI about betrayal.
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
Brannon, it sounds like you're listening to the other episodes in the past.
I'm just trying to get set up here on YouTube, and you know me, so I'm set up though. We're good to go. Me and technology.
It's actually, I was just thinking about this. We're up close to just under, I think we're just under 500 episodes now. And with our technological acumen, that in and of itself is a complete miracle.
Yeah, miracles happen. miracles do happen. You know what, the whole technology thing's so frustrating because you just keep getting worse at it. You know, it's like something you can't like turn the tide on. It's just like you slowly watch yourself become more and more like of an invalid.
It's so true, and I think you're saying that in general, but it's really true that you're saying it to me because it's totally true about me.
I know.
I was on my phone the other day, like just doing something, and I was kind of like plugging away on something, and my daughter's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I can't remember what it was, but it was some like thing, and I was like, they're like, "Why don't you just like do this?" And it was like, bam, instantly happened. I'm like, that's a feature on my phone? Like, oh my gosh, Dad, like you are so out of touch. Like, yeah. So it's one of the things I sometimes wonder about because like when I was working kind of my own recovery process, a lot of my like lines of defense and my bottom lines were like so far off the edge of the cliff that I kind of removed myself from all forms of technology for a couple of years. And then trying to step back into the stream again is like, wow, I got way behind on a lot of things.
I know, it's crazy. It's yeah. Anyway, speaking of technology, our episode today is about AI. So what we're doing is we're going down. We typed into ChatGPT, what are the most common questions about betrayal? And it gave us a list of a bunch of questions about betrayal. So instead of typing it into ChatGPT, we're glad you're listening to us here. Please keep listening and don't go over there. Will we give better answers that you can compare? We'll see.
All they have to do is type in, what do the therapy brothers say about this question?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Um, so we're just going to go down the list. We're going to, and these questions, they might take us a while to answer some of them, and they might
We
be
might
really,
only get to a few of them, but we've got a whole list of the top, basically the top 50 questions that AI gets about how to handle betrayal. We'll only get into like a few of them today, but we're going to go straight from the top of the list.
okay, let's do it.
All right. We'll just kind of bounce back and forth on
Tyler,
this.
Tyler the tech wizard. Let's do it.
Oh man. All right. So number one, Brandon, I'm sure you'll be shocked about this. The number one search question about betrayal: why do people cheat in relationships?
Yeah, does not shock me that that is the number one. Um, so that's a great question. It's a question that has, I think, many answers to it, not just one answer, obviously. It's complicated, and we could go in all different directions with that. The reasons why people cheat.
Yeah, a few things. Like a lot of times the reason this question gets asked is often from a partner who's been betrayed and wondering like what happened, what went wrong. And a lot of times it's also laced with questions about self, which we'll get into in a second. But there's a few things that kind of, if you look at patterns and themes across at least what the work we do, Brannon, I would say cheating usually comes from mostly an internal process of lack of being emotionally kind of mature in the way you cope with life and lack of authenticity about what you're actually feeling that leads to secrets that then leads to ways of trying to feel certain needs without being open and transparent about it.
Yeah, I mean, relationships break down in a lot of different ways, and by the way, as we talk about this, there's no excuse for cheating. That this isn't; these aren't excuses of what we're saying or justifications for it. Someone still needs to make the decision to break their integrity to cheat on somebody. There's better ways to go about solving some of these issues than cheating. So, just a little side note with that. But relationships break down in all kinds of ways, and you wouldn't think that your inability to get to some resolution on things that then leads to resentment, that then leads to a lack of connection, that then leads to, oh, my coworker actually gives me some empathy and connection, and it's one little thing, then another little thing, and it leads to some temptation, which leads to another little thing. That can be a reason why somebody will cheat because the relationship is breaking down, the relationship is unhealthy, and so it can lead to that.
And so often on that too, Brannon, as the relationship itself is starting to erode, there's a desire to not want to make waves or have conflict, so it never actually gets really addressed either.
Right.
So then
Right.
eventually you've got two people kind of feeling this gap, and then that gap starts to get wider, and then one person starts to try to fill the void in certain ways, you know. And I'd say probably three things that are maybe the most common like reasons. And again, these aren't us saying this is why and this is your fault if you're sitting in the space of betrayal, but these are the themes and patterns that come across. One is avoidance of pain and shame. It's the classic kind of like the reason why an addiction forms in the first place is I'm trying to fill some kind of a hole in my soul or my heart or need, emotion, whatever, in a way that does do it in the short term, but it erodes my value system in the process. Two is there's a lack of honesty and integrity in the relationship. And because of that lack of honesty and integrity, there isn't the ability to have the right kinds of interactions and discussions with your partner to focus on healing and getting better. And then it's that slow fade you talked about into other places. And then the third one is, and then we talk about this one a lot on our podcast, Brannon, but it's a desire to either get an escape from the life that I'm currently living and the stressors that I'm having, or more often it's a desire to experience validation. that
Mhm.
it almost like that when we talk about the topic of answering our question is, am I enough? Am I good enough? That we all love that feeling of validation, and that can be really intoxicating in and of itself.
Yep. Can I add one more?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a cry for help. Instead of going about changing something the right way, which is painful and difficult, it's a way to sabotage and to get out of a situation. And so they'll use cheating to do that. Um, there's different. It's funny. We put a blank label of infidelity or cheating, and a lot of times they're quite different things that are going on. So, like for example, Tyler, my example earlier about just seeking some connection with somebody at work and then starting an affair, right? Versus I'm a raging sex addict and I have acted out with sex my whole life. I've visited, massage parlors and prostitutes and so like I love my wife. There's the relationship's okay. It's not, them at all. It's just I just can't stop this addiction. You hear there's two different things going on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not to say either one is okay. But it's an interesting thing to examine is like, oh, if we worked on our relationship and did better, maybe that would help avoid infidelity or those type of things. Or this has nothing to do with
Mm.
the relationship, and that person better work on themselves, or else they're going to cheat on their partner. So a lot of times, what people think is, to the question, Tyler, why do people cheat? A lot of times they think because I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not sexy enough. I'm not good enough, and so they go somewhere else and cheat. And the here's the thing about that one, Tyler. Um, that's never true. You're a lovable, beautiful human being, and them going to cheat is on them. Um, Now they might have fallen out of love with you and they want to move on to another relationship and those type of things that can happen, right? But it's rarely, if never, the betrayed partner's fault.
Yeah. You just led right into the second question.
Oh, perfect.
Was the affair my fault in any way?
Hey, what do you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think that's a really, really common thing. And the reason for that, and it's not all bad, is that we are all living a life where we are the center of the universe in our own mind. And so anything that happens to us, we always run it through a filter of what is it about me or what is it about the situation or what is about this. And it's a natural question to ask there. And unfortunately, too often, the betrayed partner asks the question, and the one doing the betraying, because they aren't in a space of living a life of integrity and accountability, more than welcomes the other person being like, yeah, I don't know, you need to go figure that out.
Right.
Yeah, you should maybe lose some weight, or maybe we should have sex more, or you know what, like, yeah, you probably ought to go see a therapist about your depression or something.
That's called gaslighting.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything you're saying is like gaslighting.
Yeah, so it's a bad combo, because then the person is already asking the question and getting feedback that it might be their fault, which then, but it's a feedback that's like leads to more shame than it does like actual, like a true curious question as to saying, hey, how could I help things go right here if I could, which sometimes I can't. I can't control my partner's choices. I tell my clients this all the time, and it's maybe a little over the top, but over the top for a reason. Like when they come in, they're like, "Well, why did my partner step out on me? Like this and that. Is it because I'm not this or that or that or that?" And I often will say, there's probably some things we need to get into, but for right now, you could wake up in the morning, look your partner in the face, tell your partner you hate their guts, put a bag over their head, kick them in the balls, and if they cheat on you, it's not your fault.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna push back just a little bit here,
Go for it.
and I gotta tread lightly because there's some like nuance to this a little bit that is important to understand. if I'm in a horrible relationship, just my partner is unworkable, like it's just tons of resentment, bad boundaries, all kinds of stuff, toxic. And then I go and I cheat. Is the toxicity of that relationship my fault? Only,
It
only,
could be.
only. Right.
Let's for your scenario, no, it's not. Like it's probably a combination of the way that things are being handled.
Just because I cheated, it doesn't mean that I am the only problem in the relationship. Right. So hear me out. It doesn't mean that. So,
Right. The
but
relationship could have lots of problems and there could be a lot of toxicity. You could, to the point of waking up and kicking your partner in the balls every day just to say good morning. And if you cheat on your partner, that's on you.
yeah, so both are true because sometimes what we see is like, okay, if someone goes and they cheats, therefore we better fix them and they better change and it's all about them in order for us to get better. And you're setting yourself up with that scenario because in no way am I blaming you for their cheating. That's exactly what Tyler said is true. And you are accountable to create the type of relationship or marriage that you want to create, and you're half of that equation. And so, yeah, it's not your fault. And what you guys create together is what you guys create together.
I think, yeah, another way of saying that, Brannon, that's important here is when we talk about fault, responsibility, there, like, I love the quote, I think it's Ray Dalio said that there is no fault, only responsibility. The pathway out on both sides actually is through responsibility.
Yeah,
So, but you can only take responsibility for what you can honestly own, right? And when you start owning other people's choices, you're in the realm of not being your responsibility. You can own how you respond and how you react and what values live by and what things you do to help things go right or wrong. You can own all of that because those are your choices and your actions and your way of being in the world. But when you start focusing on taking responsibility for somebody else's choices, that's when you're going to get yourself bogged down even further, and it's not going to help the relationship in the long run.
exactly. So, yeah, that it is not your fault if you got cheated on. And that you have responsibility to create the type of relationship that you want to create. So both are true.
That's right. All right. Each one of these could probably be their own full episode, Brandon, but we'll just keep rifling through here. Bet you can't guess what the third one is.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here. Uh, I don't know.
Can I ever trust my partner again?
Oh, the trust.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. Um, yeah, let's talk first about why that question comes up so early on. It's kind of obvious, but the pain point is the broken attachment, the broken trust. And so what people want to fix and what they want to deal with right off the bat is I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe in my relationship. How do we rebuild this trust? Because we got to fix that.
Yeah.
So that's why it's such a common question because that's the pain point. What the problem with that is that when that is focused on as the problem, it just because it's the pain point, it doesn't mean that it's the problem. When it's focused on as the problem, then we're not addressing the actual issue. Which, if you don't address the actual issue, then you actually won't truly rebuild trust. So,
That
yeah,
that's
I
that's
don't
right.
know.
And the issues are more than just the issue. There's multiple issues that go into the restoration of trust. And
Yeah,
the,
exactly.
the question is, and this is a tricky one because I don't know what your experience is with this, Brannon, but it's been my experience with the clients that actually really do the work. Is the pathway to trust includes two individual pathways that include things like shame resiliency, accountability, grace, forgiveness, effort, empathy, practiced over time, things like that. And when you get two people who are willing to do those things and adopt those principles into the way of life, then there starts to be this reestablishment of the relationship, but it's a different kind of it's almost like a different kind of commitment and trust than originally formed.
Yeah.
It's forged in like the fires of like refinement through the hell you go through. And so part of going through that together is actually what builds the trust and loyalty over time. And there's more of a, like a realistic kind of approach to the relationship than maybe the originally sort of innocent or Twitter pated version of the relationship.
The attachment and early on in a relationship is just like, oh my gosh, someone likes me. This is wonderful. Um, but the real trust that you're talking about, Tyler, it's kind of confusing because and sometimes betrayal or sex addiction, it pushes a couple to either look at rebuilding or building actual trust, because that's the only way that they can stay together. And but here's the paradox to it. That kind of really tricky part to it is the way that I would rebuild trust with my partner is by being the type of man and the type of person that I'm going to be, regardless of
No
them.
matter what.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it's not about them. It's about my ability to keep form. It's about my ability to stay in my integrity, my ability to step into my purpose and my strength and who I am, regardless of them. So it's this weird paradox of when the relationship is not the driver in order for me to be a good person, then my partner will trust me because I am just being that good person.
Yeah. And what makes it hard with that is that if you've been living a life engaged in things that you would choose to hide about and feel shame over, a lot of times you think you're a certain person when you're looking at yourself from the eyes of shame versus when you're looking at yourself from the eyes of like acceptance and love. And so a lot of times you have to sort through who is actually me and what is authentic because I might show up in a small way think saying that I'm authentic when in reality in the long term that's not actually who I am. And so that's there. You got to get through all of those like lines of like denial and work through a lot of shame in order to get there. The other thing that I'd say about trust here is in my practice, we oftentimes will talk about trust in parts rather than in all or nothings. Because like right now, if I was, something was going on between me and my wife that I was breaking her trust on, she would be able to trust me across lots of areas of life, but she wouldn't be able to trust me across this one area of life. Right. So then it's confusing when she's like, I don't trust you at all. And it's like, well, but you trust me to show up every day. I'm consistent with,
We can
being
drive our kids to their
I can
game.
do
Like I'm
that.
not. Yeah.
I help provide for family income. You can trust that no matter what. You can trust. So it helps to actually break it down into like other parts of what is actually broken with the trust. So is it an integrity issue? Is it a judgment issue? Is it a disclosure issue? Is it a boundaries issue? Is it a lack of Is it a lack of like authenticity issues?
I,
When you can start breaking it down into those discussions, that's more productive than trust.
well, it's both and though, Tyler, because like I see what you're saying in that there's areas, but there's also as a partner you can kind of get a general feel of like, okay, you just don't feel safe. Like we don't have to break it down into this, and this. Like you're a person who will tell little white lies. You're a person that will like cave really easily. You're a person that like and I just sense it. I just know it. I can just feel
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So instead of being like there's a white lie so I don't trust you because that one white lie, it's just like in general you're not a truthful person and so I don't trust you.
Yep.
But I do like what you're saying because you could say, but I do trust you to hop in the car with you and you'll keep the traffic laws, like, you
You're
know,
saying don't dismiss your gut feeling.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
can't find something tangible, and I'm saying I agree with you 100%. And I think there's a good exercise in doing the exercise to try to find what's tangible and give it language, even though sometimes it's hard to find that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's it's so tricky. It's not just like, ouch, I got cheated on, betrayal, I don't trust. Let's fix it. It's fixed. Now we're all happy again. It's like so much more complex, and the way, and if I can, I get a little philosophical here for just a second.
Go for it, Brandon.
God sets it up this way for a reason. It's kind of weird. Like in when we die and go to heaven, we can ask God these questions a little bit. But if you zoom out and you just kind of watch what's happening, and I've been doing this for I don't know how long now. Feels like forever. So have you, Tyler. But if you zoom out and you watch and think about those clients who have really engaged in the process of recovery and healing, um, they gain wisdom and they gain growth and knowledge that they never could have any other way. And so when the betrayal happens, it's like, ouch, that hurts. Now we get to engage in this full process of healing, this full process of grief, this full process of re-examining who I am, of trauma healing. And if I'm willing to step forth and do this, whether I'm the betrayed or the betrayer, then it is such a gift. It's so beautiful. And back to your point about trust, a couple who is willing to individually each one do that, they have like the whole Twitter patient thing. It's not even the same thing. Uh, how'd you say it? Refined in the fire of hell or something? Like it's like, so it sucks. It's like,
It
oh
sucks.
god, I have to go through that to then have that. But if you're sitting in the pain of it, then what option do you have? You can sit and stay stuck in that pain, or you can go get one of the biggest gifts that you could ever experience in your life through the process of healing,
And
right?
I think the word you use that comes at a price sometimes, and that price is through pain and cynicism and all sorts of things, grief sometimes, is wisdom. We we don't I think we don't place enough value in our culture on wisdom. But
Right.
but that's how you get it sometimes, is going through those types of things. And when you go through them and you end up going through those things together, and you have people who are, there's a few things that need to be there. There needs to be, a willingness to hear and validate pain. There needs to be patience. There needs to be consistent effort over time with transparency and honesty. There also needs to be some initiative to repair, especially if you're the one that's done the damage. That's a common 12-step type concept here too. But if you work through all of those things, look at the skill sets you're developing as you go. You're developing the skill set of empathy, patience, transparency, honesty, effort, the ability to give and receive apologies properly. Like, of course, you want to be married to somebody who has all of those skills. And if that's what this process demands, if you commit to those things, all of a sudden you're starting to become the ultimate kind of partner.
Right.
And so
Right.
then trust does increase in certain levels, even though there's always that thing in the back of your mind that's still like, but they're capable of doing X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And once people get to that, where it's like they can accept that capability is there, and that's why they do these things in their lives, that's better off than like, I couldn't even fathom that they could do that thing.
Right.
That's like the inner innocence, that's kind of like an ignorant thing that, like, every human being, whether we like to say it or not, Brandon, every one of us is capable of doing really bad things.
Right.
And once we own it, then we can make choices to help mitigate that rather than pretend it's not there and then get blindsided by it.
Well, that's what we talk about with shadow work or parts work is getting really honest with who you are and owning those things. And when you're honest and self-reflective and you know those parts of you, then you're a trustworthy person because you're honest. So yeah, trust building is to answer the question, Tyler. Yes, you can rebuild trust. Yes, it's absolutely possible. Yes, it's beautiful. Yes, it's difficult. And it's at times it feels like you're going backwards. At times it feels like you're moving forward. But it is absolutely possible.
Yeah. We got time for one more, Brannon.
Okay, yeah, let's do one more.
Okay. Number 4, how do I know if my partner is truly sorry?
Um,
Which, when you look at that question, it's like that's coming most often from a place of I'm in this place of discernment of trying to decide what I should be doing as far as my next steps. I don't really want to leave the relationship if there's going to be change, if there's going to be healing, but I also don't want to stay if there's not actual genuine sorriness, like it's genuine sorriness, genuine
remorse.
apology,
Yeah.
yeah, remorse. Um, how do I know if my partner's truly sorry?
Yeah. Also, if they're truly sorry, it doesn't make them a trustworthy partner. They can feel really bad and about what they've done. They can hurt in their heart because they hurt you, and they can still not address an addiction, act poorly, and fall back into the old trap. So just because they're sorry, it doesn't mean that they're going to stop it. Now, having said that, being sorry is a good thing. So
There's a couple different kinds of sorries too. Like there's the I'm sorry, can I please be out of trouble sorry.
which isn't sorry.
That's like, yeah, that's like get me out of the doghouse sorry. And then there's the
That
actual shame sorry, which is like I'm sorry, I'm so horrible. You deserve somebody
which
totally better than me.
which isn't sorry. So
Right.
you said it earlier, Tyler. You used the word responsibility. Accountability is the best like thing to look at if somebody's actually sorry. Is I will take accountability for what I did, and I will own that. Football season starting, Tyler, and I almost get tired of the coach speak stuff. But if a team loses a game, what's the one of the first things a coach says?
It's always about him.
I'm the one that did this. This is my
The buck
fault. This
stops
is
with me. I'm the leader.
yeah. So they're trying to lead, right? And so even if like a player does a boneheaded thing and like totally that one player ruins the game, the coach is like, "This is my fault.
My fault. I take
I sh-
responsibility.
I should have prepared him more.
Yeah.
This is all on me." And so, like, are those coaches genuine? I don't know. But what they're trying to do is say, "This is my job. I made a mistake, and I'm going to own that."
I'm going to own my parts of this.
Yeah, and the whole sorry thing is way, way, way less about words than it is about energy. You'll feel sorry from them. You'll sense it. You'll know it. You'll know that they actually truly mean it, versus like just saying it or barely saying it and then making excuses or like you'll feel it. You'll feel it through their empathy, through their remorse, their own sadness, not just them protecting against the consequences of what they did.
I think that's exactly right, Brandon. It's a heart and a gut feeling as much as it is a performance thing. And when you pair both of those things together, that's where you kind of start to really sense and feel that. Again, I think the most common thing that I feel and see is the person who's sorry either has too much pride because saying sorry would admit their failure, and failure means their shame, and they can't look at their shame, so they just won't say it at all or do anything towards it to take ownership for it. That's really common. Or more often than not, the sorry comes with the kind of energy that still feels gross. Like it still
Yeah.
feels like it's like a come caretake me kind of energy rather than, hey, look, like I messed up. And I don't have to sit right here, right now, in this moment, and tell you all the ways that I'm justified to because you did X, Y, and Z, or because I suck so bad. Because all I'm going to say is, hey, I can see what I did affected you these ways. Then it's not in line with my values. I'm sorry. Here's what I'm going to do to rectify it.
I was talking to Cousin Biggs this week, and I think you
Of
owe
course, you're working him back into the
I think
episodes
you need
now.
to call him. I think you need to call him
Brandon,
and
don't even.
say
Why do you have to bring this back
and
up?
say you're sorry. I think that you need to call him and say sorry.
There's nothing to apologize for.
See, this is a good example of
This is
not
this is
taking
what we're talking about
accountability.
responsibility, right? We all agreed to play by the standards of the game, and that's the way the
Listen,
game
look
went.
at Tyler gaslighting. You picked up the pear. You chose to throw it.
Of course, you have to go there
We
again.
did not agree with throwing pears.
Yeah, yeah, I think we did. So,
This is a great example of what we're
oh,
talking about.
no, yeah, like in a certain sense, like, yeah, and even if it is within the rules of the game, if I did something that I can take ownership for that I honestly feel has betrayed my values, then yeah, I should. There's nothing wrong with going and genuinely saying I'm sorry.
Right. I think the first thing we do is we kind of scan the situation for all of it's like my kids. It's like, hey, did you do that? You know, like they're like, no, no, no. Well, so and so didn't. And it's like, okay, just stop and take the little piece of accountability that might be yours,
Like, yeah, I did that.
and that like we'll move on. Like it's like let's just move past this once we can do that. Um, but if you overtake accountability, that's not honesty. But if you're always scanning the situation to try to get out of it or defend or say that you're not bad or wrong, then you're not sorry. It feels like you're just defensive.
Yep, that's right. So hopefully that helps. I think you start to feel things. Some of the things that you'll feel are when certain skills start to line up, when there seems to be a genuineness, when there's an inner strength that comes with the accountability, when there's a willingness to hear and validate pain, even though you may not fully agree with what everyone's saying. If there's, again, back to transparency and honesty, those things start to kind of add up over time. And that's how you kind of know that the apology is genuine. And I know that why we want that is because we're looking to see how deep we should put ourselves back into the relationship. And if, so we're looking for sorry in a lot of ways helps with safety in the relationship.
Right. Right.
Right.
Well, thank you, ChatGPT, for these questions.
Yeah.
ChatGPT was our guest today.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was interesting, though, Tyler. The list that we went down does not surprise me one bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I keep going, maybe we'll do this again some other day. Everything is like right in line with probably if we were to create our own list of questions, they'd probably overlap really closely here. So, yeah. Well, if this is helpful to you guys, we're glad to have you with us, even when you have to hear Brannon tell stories about our childhood over and over again. No, we love having you here. If this is meaningful, if this is helpful, please share it with other people. And till next time, you guys, keep on keeping on.